Okay, hi there. This is Fraley's World Insight Vlogs on a Sunday, 2/17/19, and we're going to be going into a few things tonight. First, the first thing we'll discuss is Trump declares a national emergency. Um, Secondly, we'll look at where we'll probably go from there, what'll happen if the government or the courts get involved in his declaration of a national emergency. And there's been a coup of sorts in the government trying to oust Trump from the White House, and we'll go into that. And we'll also go into a review kind of Trump's latest front of the garden, right in front of the White House. He more or less gave a little speech about what upcoming events and his latest announcements. And his biggest announcement, of course, was he declared a national emergency to access a mix of congressional appropriations and several departments' existing programs. In other words, he more or less signed a bill that Congress put through, more or less a Democratic Congress, but there were some Republicans that voted for it too. And it was $1.37 billion for the border wall that he's putting up down in our southern boundaries down there by Mexico. And though it was a bad deal, I think it runs out in September, and then they'll have to renegotiate a new deal that has different stipulations in it. There's some bad stipulations in this one, but they'll have some, these won't last too long. It virtually gives amnesty to a lot of people, but I don't know the full details on that. That's just what I heard on the Populist Revolution tonight, listening to it before I came on here. The Populist Revolution being a show on Fox News Network or Fox News Channel. Anyway, Trump has other areas that he can get the money for this wall. He signed the bill knowing that he'd only get $1.37 billion. But he needs up to, well, this is more or less a down payment on the wall. He's going to build it pretty fast, he said. So this is just the start of it. But the wall's being built, but he wants to get it built fast. And anyway, we'll go over here to my little chart I found right here. And I got this off the internet, and I got it off from CNBC site called Politics, Latest Politics. Title of it is Here's Where the Money for Trump's Border Wall Will Come From. And it's written by Amanda Macias and John W. Skuen. Anyway, let's get back to my little chart. I mainly use this for the chart. It pretty well breaks down where he'll get the money from. Not only will he get it from the $1.37 billion that Congress and the bill he signed with them to get it, but he needs much more than that. He actually needs $5.7 billion. But he'll get it from other areas, and this is just the first phase of it, of course. This is only 5.7 billion, but more or less. Anyway, he'll get 0.6 billion from the Treasury Department here. I got this in the green here. He'll get 2.5 billion from the Drug Interdiction Fund. And again, it's in orange here. He'll get 3.6 billion from the Military Construction Fund, and he'll get 1.4 billion from the Congress. Actually it's 1.37, and he'll get another additional 5.7 billion from 5.7 was his original request. Not only that, but he has sent 4,350 additional troops down to the border, for around, I think it's around 90 days or so. And who knows, maybe longer. And it says that Trump could also direct 21 billion in military construction funds from the OCO, or Overseas Contingency Operations, or wartime funds. So they do have wartime funds where he can also get up to 21 billion. So Trump, and it says here that Trump is free to send this amount without Congress, but he can, in other words, he can get it, but he must notify them of doing so. So it had to be done, and it would be done. It was part of his agenda as being our president. He would get it done, and he's going to get it done. But he knew going in. He even said it, that it wouldn't be easy. He knew it would be a fight. And he even said what was going to happen. He knew ahead of time, because he's got professional people that works with him and advises him, and they know what's going to come up. When he declared that national emergency, he knew what was going to happen. Congress would throw a fit, and they would try all kinds of sorts of ways to get it thrown out. They'll probably do some kind of proposition and vote on it and try to throw it out that way. But I heard he's already being sued by some of them. And, well, yeah, as a matter of fact, it was this Cortez lady, the lady who eats Tide soap pods. Just kidding about that. I saw that on Facebook, and I thought that was funnier than heck. I also saw another meme on there where she was compared to a jackass. I mean, it showed the jackass going hee-haw like that, and it showed her talking, and they did look a lot alike. I mean, I don't want to make fun of the lady. I guess she's a nice looking lady, but they sure looked a lot alike. But anyway, to come up with, she's the one that come up with this new green deal too, and that some crazy things. Get rid of cows that fart. Yeah, right. So that shows you how idiotic some of her ideas are, and that's why the Democrats are putting her in the forefront, and that's why they're not going to do so good in the presidential race come 2020. I just don't think that with ideas like that, they're not showing much leadership. They're not solution finders or problem solvers. They throw in ideas, whatever pops in their head, without thinking it out, and it sounds goofy, and it is. But anyway, well, back to my point. They're going to try to block him any way they can. And so Trump even said it himself in a couple different speeches here recently in El Paso and the State of the Union, I think. And he said that it would probably go to the courts. It'll go to the lower federal courts and so forth first, but ultimately, in the end, it would go to the Supreme Court where he'll take it, and there's a great possibility that he will win. He shouldn't lose this. He should win it. Here a while back, if you remember, a year or so ago or whatever, he got the ban on other immigrants coming in from certain countries because those countries were deemed dangerous and had dangerous individuals, terrorists, you know, Islamic countries, certain ones. Anyway, he finally got that passed, even though it failed in the lower courts. It passed in the Supreme Court, so he won that battle too, and all things to take into consideration, he should win this one too. If he doesn't, there's something truly screwed up in the justice system, or at least the judicial system. He's already taken down the FBI, and we'll get more into that in a minute. But it's totally getting crazy, and the guy you're looking at over here on my right is the guy responsible for taking down the swamp with all the swamp creatures. These swamp creatures are idiotic, crazy. They're taking this country down a little bit at a time, and he's bringing it back up. He's making it great again. Make America great again. Just what he run on. But anyway, here's another pretty good story you might want to hear about if you haven't already watched it on the news. Let me get over here to what I was going to show you. Anyway, the government has actually tried some kind of coup. They have tried some kind of coup here in the recent past. Let's tell you what's happened recently. All these investigations that have been going on, calling for collusion between Trump and the Russians. It got smacked down, you might say. It got knocked down big time. Congressional people and officials that were doing the investigations found no collusion whatsoever between the president and Putin and Russia. So that's been more or less thrown out the book. There's still other questions coming up, but they're not going to find nothing on Trump, I don't think. Anything major anyway. Nothing that Hillary Clinton hadn't done or anybody else. That she got away with stuff. What's up with that? How come she's not being investigated? Because there's bias. The FBI is biased. The Department of Justice as a whole is biased. They're against him. And this will prove it right here. This Orr and this Rosenstein guy. These three are three of the more prominent people. And you could probably add James Comey in there too. That's one of the reasons he got fired, because Trump figured them out. He knew what was happening all along. He just wanted it to build to a point so he could prove that he wasn't guilty of anything. And now that it's been proved, it's coming out. And these guys will probably face big time investigations. And they should rightfully be put in prison. And possibly even treason, in my opinion. I mean, anyway, let's go to my thing, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. They They talked about getting the 25th Amendment, I believe it is, imposed to Trump out of the government. It was a plot all along. Here it is. This guy right here. And it's the guy's name is McCabe, one of the guys that works in the FBI. So let's listen to him in an interview on 60 Minutes that he gave tonight. Here it is.
But McCabe says Rosenstein raised another idea. The 25th Amendment to the Constitution allows the Vice President and a majority of the cabinet to remove the president.
A discussion of the 25th Amendment was simply, Rod raised the issue and discussed it with me in the context of thinking about how many other cabinet officials might support such an effort. I didn't have much to contribute, to be perfectly honest, in that conversation, so I listened to what he had to say. But to be fair, it was an unbelievably stressful time. I can't even describe for you how many things must have been coursing through the Deputy Attorney General's mind at that point. So it was really something that he kind of threw out in a very frenzied, chaotic conversation about where we were and what we needed to do next.
What seemed to be coursing through the mind of the Deputy Attorney General was getting rid of the President of the United States.
Well,
one way or another.
I can't confirm that, but what I can say is the Deputy Attorney General was definitely very concerned about the President, about his capacity, and about his intent at that point in time.
How did he bring up the idea of the 25th Amendment to you?
Honestly, I don't remember. It was just another kind of topic that he jumped to in the midst of a wide-ranging conversation.
Seriously? Just another topic?
Yeah.
Did you counsel him on that?
I didn't. I mean, he was discussing other cabinet members and whether or not people would support such an idea, whether or not other cabinet members would shared his belief that the president was really concerning Rod at that time.
Rosenstein was actually openly talking about whether there was a majority of the cabinet who would vote to remove the president.
That's correct. Counting votes or possible votes.
Did he assign specific votes to specific people?
No, not that I recall.
As you're sitting in this meeting in the Justice Department talking about removing the President of the United States, you were thinking what?
How did I get here? Confronting these confounding legal issues of such immense importance, not just to the FBI, but to the entire country. It was disorienting.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
So, we got that over with. And let's get back to me over here. So, I just wanted to give you an idea of what's going on. It was more or less a trap all along. And they didn't like Trump. They wanted to get him out of there. Some of them is on his own side, you know what I'm saying? They were Republicans, but Trump at heart's not a really, he's conservative. He ran on a Republican ticket simply because there's two big parties in this country and people know it. Democrats and Republicans. And Trump actually used to be a Democrat. He was more liberal, you know what I'm saying? And he still has a little bit of liberalism, but he's more toward the center and he leans to the right. He's a centrist and he leans more to the right because he's also conservative, being a businessman. He understands the economy. He understands what it takes to make the economy grow. And I feel like that and that's why he's a populist, and He wants what's best for the people, not best for just the individual. Heck, he's not charging us. I think he charged us $1 to run for president. And I recently heard that he took what he made as president for this last year. He took and donated it to some charity. I forget, one of his favorite charities. And I just think that's a good deal. He's putting aside his own personal agenda. Of course, anybody would want to be president and want that kind of fame and go down in history. Anybody would want that. I would want that. It'll never happen to me, but I would want that. But he's a rich man. He's powerful, and he knows he has influence. He knows he can get certain things done, and he does it. And he knows he has the ability to get it done simply because of the position he's in life. He knows he's rich. He knows he's powerful. He knows he owns a lot of things on this planet. And he's got a lot of power and influence throughout the world. And he can get things done that most other people can't get done. A lot of it's because of his mental aptitude. A lot of it's because of his influence and impact on others. But his reputation as well. His reputation as a highly influential and powerful man, and he can get certain things done. But anyway, let's move on. I thought I would add a new segment to my little vlogs here. I thought I would I kind of watch Trump's tweets. Well, not every day, but most every day I'll turn over on my Twitter account and look at his latest vlogs. And so I thought I would go over here and go to Trump's tweets, and I'll get you over here, and we'll read up on some of his latest. Okay, first, and this one's the first two or three are from the first couple are actually retweets from February the 14th. And the first one, he says, many of the top FBI brass were fired, forced to leave, or left. McCabe's wife received big dollars from Clinton people for her campaign. He gave Hillary a pass. McCabe is a disgrace to the FBI and a disgrace to our country. Make America great again. Well, I told you about this guy already. He told a bunch of lies. He's one of the first guys, McCabe is, that is. It's one of the first guys that brought up collusion nonsense and theory and started a bunch of lies and stuff. And he's still lying now, and he's probably going to have to pay dearly for that after they start investigating him big time, or at least he should. And he says here more or less that he's biased, and he's in the FBI, and he was probably bought out by the Clintons. I'm not, but it sure seemed that way. Another one from February the 14th. Disgraced FBI actor, director Andrew McCabe pretends to be a poor little angel when in fact he was a big part of the crooked Hillary scandal and the Russia hoax. A puppet for leaking James Comey. The IG report on was devastating. Part of an insurance policy in case I won. In other words, if Trump had won the presidency, which he did, that they were going to start this big hoax in order to probably invoke the 25th Amendment and get him kicked out. Now here's a tweet from Trump from about 4 hours ago. It says the Mueller investigation is totally conflicted, illegal, and rigged, and should never have been allowed to begin, except for the collusion and many crimes committed by the Democrats. Witch hunt. So Trump believes that the collusion and everything was actually committed by the Democrats, which they're finding out more and more details that this is probably a true statement. So Trump's getting the upper hand as usual. And let's read one more tweet before we get out of here. This one's from about 7 hours ago. He says, those guys, the investigators, are to be in jail. What they have done working with the Obama intelligence agencies is simply unprecedented. This is one of the greatest political hoaxes ever perpetrated on the people of this country. And Mueller is a cover-up. And apparently Rush Limbaugh had a little bit of information on this too, because he's got Rush Limbaugh's name in it. And let's see, is there anything else? I think and he's got another one from 15 hours ago. He said the rigged and corrupt media is the enemy of the people. And another one he says, nothing funny about, oh yeah, the Saturday night thing. Let's mention this and then we'll get out of here. Nothing is funny about tired Saturday night live on fake news NBC. Question is, how do the networks get away with a total Republican hit jobs without retribution? Likewise for many of the other shows. Very unfair and should be looked into. This is the real collusion. And he mentions also that he has a 52% approval rating, 93% in the Republican Party, a record. Pretty amazing considering that 93% of my press is really bad. The people are smart. So let's get off from that. And we'll get back over here to me. I don't know how long this went tonight, but I thought it was some really good and important information. Trump more or less has been cleared. There's still other turmoil going to go on about that. Corruption, the conspiracy. The bad thing is, the collusion is a conspiracy, that is. The bad thing is it costs billions of dollars to do all that investigating. Heck, that money that they investigated him with could be used on the wall as something useful and worthy to be, or something that can really be useful instead of wasting money on something that's not true. When in fact, it was the Democrats that did the collusion. When they start turning up the investigation, turning up the heat on the Democrats now, or at least they should. If they don't, there's something wrong. There's still something crooked going on. So they got to start investigating those Democrats, and especially this Orr guy, this Rosenstein guy, even Comey, and this McCabe guy. They got to, these and other people, they've got to take down. They've got to clean the swamp. The Department of Justice is supposed to be unbiased, but it leans toward the Democrats, probably paid off by some of the Democrats. You even saw where McCabe's wife got a lot of money from the Clintons, so more or less was paid off. Maybe not in name, but in dealings under the, under cover of under the guise of other dealings. You know what I'm saying? So it's really corrupt, and hopefully Trump can clean out the swamp, get these detrimental and decrepit forces and stuff, these swamp creatures. Hopefully he can get them knocked out and kicked out of there so they can clean up government, and it can go back to being a government that you can kind of halfway trust again. I mean, you can't truly trust it. That's why they have so many different departments. They watch over each other. I mean, nobody has full power. You got the judicial, the executive, and the legislative. And they watch over each other to make sure the other one's towing the line. You know what I mean? But right now, even their law enforcement people, the FBI and probably CIA and others too, are really corrupt, and they've got the Department of Justice. They've just got to clean these people up and put in the good ones and clean out the bad ones. And totally and truthfully, there's nothing truly honest in politics. That's just the way it is. I was told that by my political science professor when I was in my undergraduate work at University of the Ozarks. I was told that you can't be a politician or you can't be a politician if you're going to be totally honest, because you won't go anywhere. So, with that said, this is Sunday night, 2/17/19, February the 17th, 2019, and this is Fraley's World Insight Blogs, and I'm Harold Fraley, and I'm just going to sign out here and bid you farewell to next time. Hopefully I may start doing these vlogs at least maybe every Sunday. I kind of like this time